What's going on, Tenafly? This is Kento at Kamiyama Physical Therapy. Good morning to you here. We are today talking about, or we will talk about, top 5 maybe uncommon reasons for low back therapy, or low back physical therapy, or low back pain. There are certain things in low back that you may have not tested. It doesn't mean that you haven't tested yet, but these are some things that I tend to see or talk about that may have not been considered when it comes to low back issues. Common things that you hear about when it comes to low back is like stop sitting for too long, which is true. You don't want to sit for too long or not move for too long, or make sure you have good posture, right? Good flexibility. These are main things or common things that we talk about, or to stay strong. But I'm going to go a little bit granular today in regards to some parts or some things that you may have not tried in low back. So let's talk. Let's go into it right now. Number one big thing is breathing. You may not have thought about it, how it affects you, but how an individual breathes may strongly affect how it may change how they pressurize or stabilize their low back or trunk. A very common thing is when a person goes into, let's say they're a very big chest breather, there's more to it, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. They breathe into the chest, so they go like this. And you can tell like how when you do that, their chest puffs up, the posture looks okay in some certain aspects of beliefs. But if you notice when I do that, I'm not sure if I can show it, if I breathe in, can you notice how it arches my back? And when it arches your back often, and we breathe about 20 to 30,000 times a day on average, if we tend to breathe like that many times, what tends to happen is this back muscle tends to turn on breath after breath after breath. And as an accumulated effect, it may lead to back tension. And it's a really interesting thing to think about. Second is stress. And it's not simple in the sense it's like, okay, you need to like go on vacation, which at times it is very helpful, by the way. But it's thinking about how your brain takes stress, or how it assumes or assesses stress. Stress is not a bad thing, but many times if an individual is always stressed or thinks there is a threat to their brain system or body, it will tend to change how the individual holds their body. So imagine a person's kind of always tight here or always tight here. What tends to happen is their ability to kind of calm down, stay grounded, or use the muscles that supports the low back starts to get inhibited or shuts down. So by improving how to understand its own, like how they interpret it or how they understand stress, becomes an important process of sometimes understanding low back pain or eventually chronic low back pain for some individuals. Those are big ones. Third one is hip. If you have good hip muscles, what we don't realize is this: if you think about this pelvis here, the hip muscles attaches to this pelvis, and how this moves well is supplemented by this hip muscle. And if this hip muscle starts to get weak or not working so well, or it doesn't function as well, sometimes the low back has to compensate and cover for a muscle that doesn't work so well. So by understanding this, sometimes maybe it's not so much core as much as you think, although it will be extremely helpful, but maybe because this hip muscle, maybe the hamstrings, maybe the glutes, maybe the quads, maybe the adductors, these muscles are not working in response or in team, like as a teamwork, with the core muscle, leading to these issues. Those are 3, right? 4 is the fact that you might be putting habitual positions. You're putting yourself in habitual positions that you don't think about. So commonly, I see people, right? Posture is of course a very important thing. But let's say if you have a tendency to have to lean to your right side or to lean to your left side, and you put your backpack on one side or handbag on one side, or because you're a righty, use your right hand all the time. These habitual natures that forgot how to balance and go to the other direction may lead to this repetitive strain on one spot of your low back. And that could be number 4. Okay. Number 5 is your feet or footwear. So because a lot of people that I see in low back pain tend to get worse when standing or doing activity, like say they're vertical, many times it's the footwear that leads a lot of issues, or how their foot has adapted. So they may have had an ankle sprain back in the day, or they had a foot surgery back in the day, and how they support themselves through the feet starts to affect how their hip and core actually work. So because of those things, that eventually affects the low back. And these are things that has like chronic compound effect eventually that may lead to low back. Hope this was helpful. These are top 5 reasons that you may have not thought about, maybe you have, about low back pain, but hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me. Thank you.